Where vaccines come from is rather a simple story, but it's an important one as it has saved billions of lives and will continue to save billions of lives. Our story begins in Asia, around 1000 AD. At this time, people would come up with crude ways to treat viruses such as smallpox, and they would do this by inoculating each other with live forms of the virus. An example of this would be to crush up scabs from a smallpox victim and inhale it. Another would be to take the pus of someone who had an infectious disease and put it in your bloodstream. It sounds gross, but these did work to an extent. There's actually a lot of problems doing it this way, however. This is why it didn't last too long. There's better ways. But at the time, Europe was really skeptical about this practice. People didn't like doing that, and I almost don't blame them. But vaccines really started to come about around the 1700s when an English physician named Edward Jenner discovered that he could give people a weaker version of a virus and help the people build an immunity to a stronger virus. And as the story goes, throughout his research and his career, he heard stories from milkmaids who said that they couldn't get smallpox because of exposure to a different virus called cowpox. Now, cowpox and smallpox are in the same family. They're very similar to each other. Similar enough, in fact, that these milkmaids were right. And Edward Jenner wanted to test that for himself. So one day, he infected an 8-year-old boy using some cowpox samples that he got from a milkmaid. And later, after he had contracted the disease and had it for a while, he exposed the 8-year-old boy to smallpox. And he did not get smallpox. Now, after this discovery, people in Europe were still skeptical of this whole vaccine thing. And Jenner had to work hard and build connections in order to get the vaccine that he had come up with approved and distributed. And Jenner ended up getting a lot of requests and a lot of popularity because of his discovery. Now, this is just with one virus, and people at the time didn't really know what a virus was or how it behaved. And it took some time for the world to discover what made up viruses. But eventually, because of the legacy of Edward Jenner, we get things like the polio vaccine, the measles vaccine, and other vaccines to dangerous infectious diseases, all to save lives. Nowadays we don't even have to worry about polio. That's not even a thing. So now we have vaccines and lives are being saved. So what does this mean for the future? Well, actually a lot of things. Vaccines nowadays are more complicated and more safe than ever. Fortunately, there's an anti-vax movement that has been pushing back on vaccines and allowing diseases like measles to make a comeback in the United States. But as the future goes on, the technology for vaccines will continue to get better. Vaccines are typically only used for viruses, but recently, scientific discovery has pushed that boundary to bacteria and fungi. Professor Paul Savage here at BYU has actually discovered a vaccine that can be used against various types of bacteria, and it has been successful. So vaccines will continue to be a big part of our future world. We should be grateful for the wonderful things that vaccines have done for the human race.